Today, we've seen our politics have become very polarized and extremist and radical. But what exactly can we label as populist, and where do you see populism manifest itself? And behind this, what is that a symptom of? What is behind the surge in populism?
I think my fellow panelists should begin, otherwise I'll talk too long.
Mrs. Coutto, would you like to start?
Do you want to continue? So you can just go first.
Right. Well, formally, populism has become one of these words that we use like neoliberal, globalization, and that has many meanings, and each person can make give its own meaning, right? There are, however, few characteristics that we see in the discourse. Some scholars believe, it is an ideology. Other scholars believe, no, it's more a discourse, it's just a strategy, right? Personally, I think it's more an ideology. But that's a mainstream view, but there's no consensus. And what we see, usually we tend to associate it with right-wing, more radical right populism, but you do see this in both sides of the spectrum, right? Whenever you have a discourse, an ideology that opposes, insists on the idea of the people are virtuous, whoever the people may be, right? Usually it includes yourself, but because we like to think of ourselves as good, nice people, don't we? I think. Opposed to an evil elite that controls the system. The system is also a word that you see in many populist discourse, and that wants to control the people, wants to control the masses, and wants to prevent the people from realizing their objectives, from realizing their utopias. So you have this very Manichaean discourse. It's either black or white, good and bad. It's very, if you look at, my research is about content analysis of populist discourse, and it's pretty much like that. And it's also something where the populist leaders insist on is that there's an urgent sense of crisis, right? Basically, if you look at economic indicators, many of us have the feeling that we have never performed so badly economically. This is not true. In terms of living standards, this is not true. We do have a problem of inequality. This is true. But we have the perception that there is an imminent crisis. It is as if our house is on fire, and you have to take some urgent measure, right? So the populist discourse has these elements. I would highlight these three main ones. Manichaean discourse, the sense of urgent crisis, and the idea that people versus elite, this is the most important component, and the idea that something urgent has to be done, like you are in a plane and the plane is about to crash, so you don't have really much time for deliberation, for democracy. These things take time. We need someone who can act. And you do see this in a lot of social movements, in Yellow Vests, in Yellow or other social movements, or more extreme right votes. We need someone who actually takes the wheel, right? And takes back control, right? So this idea that because we are in a special situation, we don't need that much democracy. We need a commander-in-chief, right? This is the main discourse, but we see this in different nuances in Europe and beyond, in the Philippines, in the US, in Brazil. It's by no means an European phenomenon exclusively.
Can I take a different take? I agree with everything you just said, but I think it's an interesting question to pose ourselves: what happens when populists win, right? So what happens when they get into government? I think that's what my points will actually revolve around. So I mean, I took these two parties that are in power right now, like the Fidesz party in Hungary and the PIS party in Poland, right? So both of them are ruling parties. So what do they do with all this discourse and this kind of narrative when they get into power? I mean, they are obviously creating some problems, but having said that, they're not much of a hindrance in the European policy system. So what do they do? First of all, they're kind of decide to go towards being extremely anti-European. They have to go to the other ones. So how do this anti-European feeling, actually, this anti-establishment feeling, because that's what it is expressed via their policies? First of all, in the domestic sphere, they go towards what they call more liberal democracy. I mean, our colleagues in the CEU know this very well. They had to move to Vienna because of that. Also, Orban has actually systemically weakened the rule of law in Hungary, suppressed the freedom of press. Poland had its share of problems with its judicial system. So they kind of actually create this kind of liberal state within the EU, with the Commission pushing back in other faith, but not very convincingly, right? So we see other countries being more tolerant of this kind of behavior. The second thing that they do when they actually get into power is they actually try to block some kind of more symbolic things in the council, in the EU sphere. So, for example, Orban did not vote for Jacqueline Juncker for being the new Commission president. He has signed the candidacy of Weber, who is actually the EPP candidate for the European. That's a decision we can talk more about later. The Polish Prime Minister also tried to block Tusk's reappointment to the EU Council, but I think that's more like domestic politics. Having said all these things, they're actually also playing along with it. So, for example, Orban would actually sign the fiscal compact, which is like a very liberal fiscal arrangement outside the treaties, or he would be totally against Brexit. The same with the Polish, the Kaczynski. So both of them were against Brexit and said Brexit would be a catastrophe. Why you're even actually considering that? So they're not really in favor of exiting the EU. I think the main point, and I'm actually finishing here, is that all these kind of Eurosceptics parties, including the Five Star Movement, the Liga, understand that the EU policy system is actually a good scene to bring their policies front and center. They really use this to actually play the domestic policy sphere. It's, for political scientists, this is Pacman 202, right? So you actually negotiate at the national level, having a right at the domestic level. I think that's what we see with them. And that's why I think they're not going to dismount the EU. They're just going to be like a hindrance.
Can we add something very fast, because it has to do with the work that I'm carrying out now. I think so. I'm working on, and I promise I'll be very fast. I'll give you the virtue. Working on UN discourses that state representatives made at the EU during the General Assembly, and we think, and it completely confirms. But when you look at Hungary, we think, oh, Hungary. It's not Orban. It's true who gives the speech. It's usually the Minister of Foreign Affairs or the ambassador to the Hungarian ambassador to the UN, but you see, and I do content analysis, right? And I do quantitative, so it's measured, it's counted, and it's analyzed as well. We see a lot of expressions like we are fully aligned with the European Union. In 2015, that was right before the Paris Agreement was signed. They did a great job. They hope that the presidency as well. They insist a lot of groundwater, because for them, and the pollution of the Danube, for them that's important. Their discourse, and actually in terms of environmental politics, you see every member state in 2015 in the UN General Assembly, most of them, everybody explicitly supported the Commission, supported the EU. In the case of Hungary and most of EU member states, they say we are fully aligned with the commitments set concerning the Paris Agreement. So there's a lot of, I think it serves also an internal agenda, right? Rather, we don't see this in foreign policy yet, or we don't see this at the moment.
I wonder whether, just the question I wanted to ask was, why has what is in essence, in each case, and each one slightly different, the Gilets jaunes, or the Five Star Movement, and so on, where essentially their grievances are national, but they have become anti-European in a way, and to try and make that linkage. I mean, if you look at, and Tatiana, you put your finger on it with mentioning loss of control. I mean, that brilliant slogan of the Brexiters here, it would bring back control. This feeling that they'd lost control, what does it come from? Well, I would take it back actually to the collapse of the Soviet Union, the end of the Cold War, the feeling that geopolitics are, and economic power is shifting from west to east, one factor. The immigration thing, absolutely, loss of control of the borders, all these foreigners coming into our country. But three, the globalization factor, that jobs are moving from our countries. The technological factor, that actually the jobs themselves that used to give us employment in manufacturing and so on, they're moving, but also we're being replaced. There aren't the same jobs, it's only Mac jobs that are left or whatever. And it possibly even, because you see this with the Gilets jaunes, and I think you see it with places that voted very much Brexit in the English provinces, almost the commercial revolution which goes with the technological revolution, the death of the high street. You see it so much in little French towns and in English towns too. I stress English all the time, but you do see it in Scottish towns, but it didn't have the same effect, or Irish. So all of those things, and the blaming of the elite, the political class, the establishment. Now, why does this become anti-European? Well, one, Europe is, the European Union is the incarnation of multilateralism. It lives and breathes multilateralism. It is the most ambitious experiment in the pooling of sovereignty ever. But in doing that, and it's actually the politics of Europe drag decision-making to the centre. It's always a compromise, centre-left, centre-right. It's no irony that, or no contradiction that actually the Grand Coalition has actually become the government of choice in quite a lot of countries. The Grand Coalition rules in the European Parliament almost constantly. In order to get anything done, it has to be done in the middle. And that excludes those who are the angriest, both on the right and on the left. And therefore it's seen as an elite project. But actually it's a centrist project. It's a compromise and consensus building project. And so if you're very angry, that becomes the target. And somehow, somebody's got to find a solution if we're going to keep the whole thing going that actually persuades people that this is not the enemy.
Thank you very much. Which is exactly the concern I was pointing out earlier about what these global governance structures should look like so that people don't feel excluded. So the last topic is leadership. We sort of covered it in the sense that there's a lack of leadership which leads to populism. So more to the point, now the EU Commission head is going to change, and who do you think is the agenda of who's the most likely candidate for your audience, and what is the agenda for the new EU Commission?
Do you want to start, Tatiana?
It could be. You work in the commission, don't you?
I do.
I think
It looks like you're more
he's very.
it's precisely his area.
So, I will speculate, so it's not like, an informed opinion on that. I don't think the lead candidate of the European People's Party will actually be the next Commission President. And this is not because they lose the election, they will win the election. I think he doesn't have the characteristics that we usually see with someone who is actually about to become a Commission President. I would say his biggest weakness is that he's very much open to criticism when it comes to appeasing the liberal populists, right? So he's kind of appeasement with Orban, and in the end he voted against him in the parliament, but his closeness, I think, he's very much open to the leaders who are closer to the liberals side of the European Council. And usually what you have is a middle ground candidate. So if I had to bet, and I'm not betting or anything, if I had to bet, I would say the Vice President Timmermans, who is the socialist candidate, is a better candidate. Or, if Brexit really works out well for the EU, Mr. Barnier, who is from the EPP. So, at least you have some. Having said that, the Spitzenkandidat system, I think it's dead in the water. I mean, in all honesty, I don't think it will at all. So it's not like it has some kind of mobilization around the single candidate.
So would you say it would be a better option to have a high-level technocrat, such as Barnier, for example,
No.
rather than an elected official? So Manfred Weber, who's now the Spitzenkandidat for the EPP, who's directly elected but has never held office in Germany, for example. Would you think that an expert, an elected expert, would be a better solution, even for European democracy?
I mean, I don't think Barnier or Timmermans are elections. They're politicians hardcore. Barnier has a huge ego and he has been active in French politics forever. And Timmermans the same. I mean, he's a charismatic speaker. Obviously, they have some technocratic elements from big commissions, but having said that, I mean, if we know something about the Commission, is that the executive branch, like the people who are high up, they're at the best they're managing the portfolio. They're not really actually working with the content policies. So they're more like politicians, seeing that as the end of their career or a stepping stone to something better. So I mean, I think that I don't think technical is the solution. No, I wouldn't actually have drag him over to the European Commission. I mean, he can, but have someone like him.
Thank you. One last question. On Tuesday, Merkel and Macron signed the treaty to further integration in Europe. Do you think that Franco-German leadership is a plausible or a viable couple to lead the EU?
It's necessary, but it's not sufficient. Franco-German cooperation. The key to understanding Franco-German cooperation is, in a way, they represent the ideological opposites in an awful lot of what the European Union does. The statist France against market Germany, protectionist France against free market Germany, or, I mean, I'm exaggerating somewhat, but in issue after issue, when it comes to you find them on the opposite ends, and the key to actually finding a solution is when France and Germany can agree on something, then actually that covers the divide. And it was the sort of, the sort of northern disciplinarians in the Eurozone with the Club Med. And only when France and Germany got their act together could you get some sort of Eurozone. So one, and I would say to many of my compatriots of this country, oh, France and Germany, dominating everything, bullying everybody, ruling everything. One, the Aachen Treaty is much more about symbolism than substance. There is not a lot there. Two, we do have a situation where Angela Merkel is clearly towards the end of her time. It's the Merkel demo. And Macron is having an awful lot of difficulty at home, so they're not in that position to dominate. So where I think it is an important symbol, and actually what it sets up is talking to each other and engaging and discussing, which is very important. But it's not setting a clear agenda forward for Europe.
But is it a plausible couple?
Oh, they are a plausible couple, yes, because that's at the heart of the original conception of the European Union. We shall never have another war. It's that image of Helmut Kohl and François Mitterrand on the battlefield at Verdun holding hands, or that extraordinary moment we saw this time with Merkel actually sort of putting her head on Macron's shoulder. There is a deep belief in both countries that this is essential. Now, it's not unanimous, because we saw the far right in France come out and say, Macron is a traitor to the country, he's giving the Germans back Alsace and Lorraine, which is just crazy. So it is very necessary, but it's never sufficient.
I agree that it's necessary, but not sufficient. Definitely necessary. But I will also think, in addition to that it's more for both countries could act as a safety net in case, and it could be a new version of this multi-speed Europe, or a core that Macron, he's not, Sarkozy talked about it as well, but Macron, this view is much further developing in Macron's mind, that okay, maybe we should start, there's nothing that prevents us from moving towards maybe a fiscal union, and then there's a series of bilateral initiatives that are already in place. We do have, for example, a Franco-German Joint Parliamentary Assembly that passed legislation. This is not new. So kind of build foundations.
Can we continue? We're moving to the next room. We can have some refreshments there and meet the speakers and ask them more questions.